Hello traders, and welcome back to IFX Success. Thank you for being here. And well, actually I have 100 followers, subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. This is actually exciting. You gotta be excited even for the smaller things, right? So anyways, one of the topics I would like to talk about would be that how reliable is the 5-minute breaker? So is it that reliable? Is it good? How can we actually use it to our advantage? And one of the things that we can use the 5-minute breaker would be like an indication of a reversal. And also, we just have to be very careful, because there will be times when you would get a 5-minute breaker when the market has already ended a cycle. So you have to be really careful when you enter, and you might be entering at a late cycle, meaning that on the higher time frames, you might still have a bearish breaker or bullish breaker, but it's already like an old breaker, right? It's already too old that the cycle is finishing, and then you might get a 5-minute breaker, and then you might enter, and then it's just not going to work as well as you would like to, right? So just be very careful. I'm gonna kind of have an overview here of what we can look for when we have 5-minute breakers, because yes, they could be good because we can enter at a better price, or we can enter as an anticipation of a reversal entry. So, but again, this is something that 5-minute entries, yes, are good, but you have to be extra careful. So right over here, I have a square where we can go back and see what is going on, on a higher time frame. So I'm going to square this up even a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. And so right over here, let's talk about first the bearish breakers on this side of this end of the entry, right? But if you take a look at here on the left hand side, we have a number 3. So remember, we want to go from 3 to 3, like this is like a cycle market. Sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller. So this is actually, if you look to your left, let's say this breaker over here, we're not even looking at any other information, higher time frames, but let's say if we get this breaker, and then you say, well, I just had a bullish breaker, what do I do, right? So if you look to your left, and we can tell that once you get that breaker, which happens right over here, we can tell this was the breaker entry right over here, so we would have entered right over here, or we could have waited for a reversal. So if the market went down, you could have waited for a breaker re-entry right over here, and then kind of get this side over here. So this is more or less like scalping, unless you actually enter with a strong trend, and then we can hold this trade much longer. But just as an example, we could see that the market is already breaking this low, right? Just low over here. So this is a good indication that, hey, we're breaking this 3 below it, so then we can actually go lower than that. But if I go to my 15 minutes, what was happening on my 15 minutes is that I had already there was already a breaker that happened. The market went down, and then what we were getting was a reversal, not a reversal, but a breaker retest close to the 15 minutes, and that entry on 5-minute was pretty much a breaker retest on 15 minutes, right? So I'm just kind of going slowly but surely going to higher time frames. So since we already got a 15-minute breaker, then we could say, okay, I can anticipate, this is already like pretty much a breaker retest on 15 minutes, and then we could have gotten this entry, right, this over here. Unless you don't care about 5-minute, then all you have to do was wait for a breaker retest right here. This is what is close to a selling zone, and then we could have entered right over here, right? So then if I go back, let's just go now kind of to a higher time frame. And again, this is all what is in green. Let me just move this a little bit right over here. And we can tell that right over here where I squared this up, this was what, 15 minutes and 5-minute entry, right? And if we look left, well, we already had a breaker on the 1 hour, so the market pretty much went down, and you know, it was kind of a close to a low right over here, so it was already close to a support. And you know, we just kind of have to be careful, because yeah, market likes to either come to it, close to it, and then bounce off from here, or likes to break below and then, you know, possible keep on going lower, or just make a new low and then keep on going higher, right? So that's like one of the 3 questions that you have to ask yourself. So just in case, you know, if you have entered, you know, if you don't happen to go back to higher time frames, well, we already know that we kind of have a low over here, and well, there's a possibility that it can bounce on from there, that it can break it, that keep on going lower and stuff like that. So we could say that, you know, entries like this already too far from a breaker, and this is 1 hour breaker, you know, it's already sometimes risky, right? Unless we have a really strong trend, and you know, something really extraordinary is going on, and then this thing keep on going. But you know, like the best entries obviously are when you get a fresh breaker of higher time frame. So let's see now what was going on in 4 hours during this time. So I'm just have to keep moving this thing. So right over here again, this is our 4 hour where, you know, we had highlighted on 5-minute and 15 minutes. So again, this is already a support based on 1 hour, and now also 4 hours, right? So we have here something, you know, if you can just go back and see that this has been a strong support and resistance. So it was a resistance over here, and now it became a support. So we can tell that, hey, okay, we do have a fresh breaker. And again, what you have to remember, what the market does is the market like to reverse, right? The market like doesn't goes down and up in waves, right? So if we came down in here to this support, most likely is gonna bounce off from here, and then maybe possibly, so let me just throw it down. It could be, you know, what it's doing is just it came down here, it bounced off at this support, and it could possibly come here to this somewhere around here, right? This is an area of resistance or selling zone, and then from there the market can come down, right? And again, remember, the market goes up and down in waves. You know, sometimes we do expect the market to keep on just going in one direction just because we entered. That's what we would like for it to do, right? So then, okay, so we said, okay, we do have a bearish breaker, we do have a 1 hour breaker. So in your mind, you're saying, okay, fine, you know, this is, for me, is okay to sell, but you're ignoring other factors, which could be, you know, support and resistance. It could be that the market had a nice drop and then eventually it's gonna bounce off again to keep on going lower. So there's a possibility now that, hey, if maybe we're still on a 4 hour breaker, the market could give us a sell, right? So if I go back again to 5-minute, so let's just go back to the 5-minute and pretty much see what was going on again under the 5-minute. If we could have entered, sorry, it's right over here. So right over here, this was a good entry, of course, and so the cycle ended from 3 to 3 on 5-minute. You get it, what, a bullish breaker, it goes up and it kind of hits some resistance over here, and then the market gives you another bearish breaker right over here. So in your mind, you're saying, well, I already have, in case you might, you know, again, in case you might follow 5-minute breakers. So in your mind, you might say, well, we have a 1 hour breaker and we have a 4 hour breaker. Well, why not sell, right? So let's say you enter here, well, you know you're gonna be in drawdown over here, and then the market eventually comes back down again. But you have to know now that under the 5-minute, we do have a 3 that this is going to act as a nice support, that, you know, this could be a target, and if it does not go lower than this, then it's just not gonna keep on going lower. So if you have entered in here, well, this again, well, like you see, it didn't really run any longer, anything else, right? We just kept getting some bullish breakers over here, some bearish breakers over here. So it is tough sometimes, you know, when you look at smaller time frames, and you know, it's just too, you know, up and downs that, you know, you might get confused. So be careful when you see a 5-minute breaker and you really try to enter. So they are good, like I said, but you know, if unless you know that we just had a 15-minute breaker or maybe a 1-hour breaker going in that direction, and then that your 4-hour and daily candle are going in the same direction. So if they're fresh in 1 hour and 4 hours, then it might be okay for you to actually enter. What if by any chance you don't have breakers, you know, let's say bearish breakers on 1 hour, 4 hours, and you only have 15 minutes and 5-minute breakers, you know, selling breakers, and but if your 1 hour and 4 hours is actually bullish, right? So we can use the 5-minute and 15 minutes as an anticipation of a change in trend. We just have to be very careful. The only thing that, you know, I would say is that you have to use your daily or your 4-hour candle that is going your direction. So what I would say is that wait for a 15-minute breaker, or and then wait for a pullback and see if you can get a 5-minute breaker going in the same direction, and then hoping that obviously daily and 4 hours is going in your direction. So is it possible? Again, yes, it is possible. So if you take a look at here at the graph, at the dashboard, just let's say by any chance, so you can tell over here, let's say on gold, right, or even euro dollar, we have everything is bullish, right? Everything is bullish except only the 4-hour candle. So to you, you will say, well, there's really nothing that I can do. If I get anything bullish, I would buy. Obviously, we have the daily candle going in our direction, but the only thing is 4 hours is going bearish now. Could be that when we get a 4-hour candle, it could be an anticipation of a change in trend, right? So for you, that if you get a 15-minute breaker and you get a bearish, you have a bearish candle here, everything is bullish, you know, you might be tempted to enter. You're like, oh, this could, you know, this could work. So the only thing that I would say really is wait for a breaker retest, or wait for a 5-minute breaker going with the same direction of the 15-minute bullish breaker. That way, that can give you more confidence. Again, I think it's really best to wait for both of these candles to go in the same direction. But if by any chance you want to do that, you know, this again could be an anticipation. You just have to be extra careful. So let's take a look at see what we have on euro dollar, and again we have everything bullish, but you know, if you analyze the charts, we can tell that they're also, you know, we could say, hey, maybe 4 hours is already overextended, or you know, something like that, and it's okay for me to buy. Like if I go to 1 hour, we have here a wide bullish breaker. The market came back down to retest this breaker and is already going up. So we could say that if we have here 3 to 3, we could say that we already in a finish cycle on 1 hour, and on 4 hours I can't really even see the breaker here by any chance. It's all the way here. So this is definitely we had some bearish breakers on 4 hours. It's just that the market has been really strong to the upside, that they have been invalid, they have been false entries, right? So yes, we could tell that under the 4 hours the market has been strongly going up, under the 1 hour as well, and even maybe on the daily as well. Take a look at here. We have the bullish breaker, and then we have a strong move to the upside, and yes, we could expect the market now to give us some entries. I mean, this is like, if we look all the way to the left, I mean, this is already like high, like for a long period of time, right? This is, even if I go back, this is like 2018. This is 2018 information over here. So this euro hasn't been this high for a very long time. So could we anticipate already a sell on here? Well, yes, right? So, you know, we should anticipate. We just don't jump on it like that. But our you know, if I have here my 4-hour candle is bearish, and let's say if right over here we have an order block in 15 minutes, what I would like is, okay, break below, so that tells me that we can have an anticipation on entry. And then let's see 5 minute. On 5 minute we already got one, but as you can tell, it's not really going just to, you know, if you would have entered, you would be suffering on this trade, right? Why? Well, because again, we do have a bullish trend, and we have a strong daily up candle, right? So we're not just gonna enter just like that on 5 minutes. We can't rely just on it like that. Even if it's an anticipation, you know, we would like the daily and the 4-hour to be going on our direction. So 15 minutes could be a good one, a more reliable entry instead of 5 minutes. 5 minutes, again, it would be just good if you want to keep, if you just had a fresh breaker either on 15 minutes or 1 hour, and you can give it a try when you get a 5 minute entry, right? But on anticipation or a reversal entry, I would suggest using 15 minutes. This is currently 15 minutes over here, and if it breaks below, what I would like is just a small reversal, maybe sell. Although, yeah, everything is bullish, you know, that could be some risky trades, right? That could be a really strong risky trade. But, you know, if we look back to 1 hour and 4 hours, we could say that the market has already been overextended, that under the 1 hour, this is 1 hour right here, we have already a finished cycle. You know, I don't really would like to keep on buying in here. I mean, we already had a nice chance over here to buy, and you know, again, the market doesn't go up forever and doesn't go down forever, so you should expect now a nice selling opportunity. Although, yeah, everything is bullish, we could still look for a reversal entry. And again, just be very careful when you do that. So what if you happen to enter on, if you get a 15-minute breaker, I would suggest using your order block right over here. This is 1 hour order block as a target to get out, right? It should be your first target, or even sometimes we have here fair value gaps. We have here in between here, we have a fair value gap that maybe you can use that as a target, you know, first or second target of right over here to get out. So again, we should, if you want to look for reversal entries, you can do so. Just make sure that a cycle has ended on 1 hour and hopefully also 4 hours, and that although you might not have a breaker on higher time frames, you could expect and, you know, get entries and don't hold for too long if your 4-hour candle is bearish. If your daily is bearish, well, that's like, you know, don't even think about it twice, but at least your 4-hour candle needs to be bearish, because if you buy over here, it just be too risky and you might just lose on that trade. All right, traders, so if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a comment on YouTube. You can also sign up to our Telegram channel. You know, it's growing, and you know, we can have a lot of traders in there sharing their information as well, sharing their trade ideas. So sign up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.